Members of our committee, this is a meeting of Los Angeles City Council's Ad Hoc Committee on the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games. Mr. Clerk, if you can begin our proceedings by calling the roll.
Harris Dawson.
Present.
Price. Absent. Soto Martinez. Present. Yaroslavsky. Absent. Padilla.
Present.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Blumenfield. Absent. 4 members and a quorum, Mr. Chair.
All right. We will begin this meeting as we do many of our meetings by opening up the floor for public comment. Mr. Clerk and City Attorney will read the instructions for public comment into the record, and then your name will be called as soon as your name is called. If you can line up to my right, your left, and come in any order once your name has been called. Mr. Clerk.
To people providing public comment, when it is your turn to speak, please state which of the agenda items you'd like to speak to. You will have 1 minute per item, up to 2 minutes total. We will tell you when your time is up. When speaking on the agenda items, you must be on topic. Our goal is to get through as many speakers as we can. If you are not on topic, or we cannot tell whether you are on topic, you will get 1 brief warning from the city attorney or the chair. At that point, you need to get immediately and clearly on topic. If you do not do so, or you again stray off topic, you will forfeit the rest of your speaking time, and we will move on to the next speaker. Thank you.
All right, we need sound over here. You got to step on the pedal.
Okay. I'll begin by calling the following names to line up: Maria Santos, Nikolai, Jordan Long, Veronica Gonzalez, Ron Cato.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
My name is Ron Cato, Health Commissioner for CD 11, appointed by Tracy Parks. Thank you, Chair Harris Dawson, and all the committee council people that are serving Native Angelino, University High, 75, Dodger fan. And I'm here because CEO Hoover, in one of the earlier meetings, had mentioned that he wanted the Olympics to fit LA, not the city of LA to fit the Olympics. And I'd like to go a little further because their theme of sustainability aligns so well with the plan for a healthy LA. And instead of just fitting, I'd really like for the mentality to change to integrating into the plan for a healthy LA, going forward, making LA a better city. And I think this can happen. I'm really happy that I haven't heard things that I heard in '84, where I don't know whether it was coming from council or for the Olympic Committee for Angelinos to get out of LA because the world's coming here. We got to work to get the Angelinos to stay and really buy into being hosts, showing what our community can do. I think the Olympics is providing that chance, and that I like for the mayor's office with their area reps to work with the council offices and their field deputies to really, I think we need the grassroots movement to make this happen. We've got 99 neighborhood councils, and we had the Congress of Neighborhood Councils here last month. A lot of people that are willing to volunteer for the city to make this a better place to live, to work. And so Yeah, let's go Dodgers and let's go Olympics. Thank you.
For the record, Mr. Chair, council members Yaroslavsky and Blumenfield are here for the record.
Good morning. I'm speaking on item 2. My name's Jordan Long. I'm a bartender at the Delta One Lounge, and I've lived in this city my whole life, born here, raised here, and I will forever be tethered to this city. And personally, I am disgusted to see my company spending millions to stop hardworking Angelenos and their families from earning a better living. And now Delta, an official partner of LA 28, along with the hotel lobby and United, is seeking to undermine the very workers of this city, my home, who will make the Olympic Games even possible by denying them that living wage while threatening the city with a tax on its budget. So we urge you, please do not be fooled. Stand strong and defend our Olympic wage. Thank you.
Before the next speaker begins, I will call the following additional names: Sonia Saran, Victor Sanchez, Mansoor Khan, and Tara Murshid.
We're good. Ah, perfect. Okay, good morning. My name is Veronica Gonzalez. I'm a proud Angelino, an organizer with Starbucks Workers United, and a former Starbucks barista. I'm commenting on item 2 today. I'm here because the workers who make this city run deserve dignity and respect. Starbucks was named the official coffee partner of the 2028 Los Angeles Olympic and Paralympic Games. That means Starbucks will represent Los Angeles to the world, but Starbucks has not earned that privilege. Starbucks workers are unionizing a cost to the country, but instead of respecting our rights, Starbucks has become the worst labor law violator in modern US history, including here in Los Angeles. Starbucks supply chain has been tied to allegations of forced labor and dangerous working conditions in Mexico, China, Brazil, Colombia, Kenya, Guatemala, and beyond. Starbucks Workers United is proud to be part of the Fair Games Coalition, standing with other unions and community groups to hold the Olympics accountable to their own values. We urge the City Council to demand that Starbucks be denied a seat at the Olympic table until it stops union busting, signs fair contracts, and respects workers everywhere. Thank you.
Good morning. Mansoor Khan. I am a representative with the Echo Park Neighborhood Council, but I was speaking for myself on item 2. Echo Park Neighborhood Council was one of the first neighborhood councils to support the Olympic wage. There have been 14 neighborhood councils who supported it now. We've been fighting for this for over 2.5 years, along with small businesses, community organizations, and other community groups. We're united in our conviction that tourism workers deserve dignity and respect. Now, Delta, an official partner of LA 28, along with United and the hotel lobby, is seeking to undermine the very workers that will make the Olympics possible by denying them a living wage. We need the city to stay strong, defend the wage, ensure that LA 28 and IOC deliver a fair game and dignified treatment of all Angelenos, and protect the workers that will make these Olympics run, because without these workers, there will be no Olympics. Thank you.
All right, that concludes public comment for today's meeting. I want to thank everybody for showing up this morning and sharing with us. 2 more speakers? Okay, so that wasn't, oh, sorry.
It's all good, all good, all good. Good morning, council members. My name is Victor Sanchez. I'm the executive director of the Los Angeles Alliance for a New Economy, LANE. And in May, this council and the mayor made history by standing with tourism workers to raise wages and secure quality health care. With support from over 500 coalition members, including neighborhood councils, congregations, unions, small businesses, and community groups, we fought for more than 2 years so that no one making hotel beds or welcoming our guests at LAX would have to sleep in their car or fall behind on medical bills. After that victory, and after Angelenos stood with us in defeating a referendum funded by Delta, United, and the hotel lobby, these same billion-dollar corporations are again trying to bully our city instead of paying fair wages. Council members, what kind of city do we want to live in? One where corporations strong-arm our leaders into keeping Angelenos in poverty? Do not let them gut the Olympic wage. This policy has only been in effect for a month, but it's already changing lives. Any delay in wages or health care will devastate working families. We can't let these corporations drag our city backwards. Thank you.
Good morning, council members. My name is Antara Marsheth, and I am with Jobs to Move America, an organization that ensures public investments deliver good quality jobs. I'm speaking to agenda item number 2. LA has invested tens of billions to build the tourism infrastructure that has made it a mega event capital of the world. We have joined hundreds of coalition members to ensure that tourism workers who for years have been impoverished by low wages and poor health care can be healthy and housed. Now the tourism industry, which has continually benefited from city investments, is trying to undermine the very workers of the city who make mega events like the Olympic Games possible by denying them a living wage, while threatening the city with a tax on its budget. We need the council to stay strong, defend the wage, and ensure that LA 28 and the IOC deliver a fair games and dignified treatment of Angelenos. Thank you.
All right, I want to confirm that that concludes public comment for this morning's meeting. With that, Mr. Clerk will begin with item number 4.
Item number 4 is a motion, Price Harris Dawson, relative to relocating the LA 28 closing ceremony to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum.
All right, this is something very important that LA 28, the council, and members of the community have been working on for months to make sure we affirm the position of the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, built for the Olympics, or built to attract the Olympics in the early 1930s, that it in fact becomes one of the only buildings in the world to host 3 opening or closing ceremonies. And so with that, members, if there's no additional comments, we'll ask for an aye vote. Mr. Clerk, call the roll.
Harris Dawson.
Yes.
Price. Absent. Soto Martinez.
Yes.
Yaroslavsky.
Yes.
Padilla.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Aye.
Blumenfield.
Blumenfield, aye.
6 ayes, and this item is approved.
All right, what's next, Mr. Clerk?
We have items 1, 2, and 3, Mr. Chair.
All right, and with items 1, 2, and 3, we will hear from our General Manager of the Bureau of Contract Administration, Mr. John Reamer.
Item number 1 is a verbal update from the Bureau of Contract Administration relative to creating economic opportunities for Los Angeles communities through the 2028 Olympic and Paralympic Games.
Good morning, Council President, Chair, and council members. It's good to be here. I am John Reamer, your Inspector of Public Works, the Director of the Bureau of Contract Administration. I have the honor and privilege of giving a verbal update this morning on progress as it relates to one in particular, and I would like to touch on another of a series of recommendations that this committee and then council ultimately approved. The recommendations came from this group the 27th of August of this year. And on that day, LA 28 also made a presentation before you. The first item that I'd like to speak to is item 5, which it reads, direct the BCA in coordination with LA 28 to report to council on best practices for maximizing procurement from local city businesses, in particular small and micro businesses. The report should include strategies, implementation plans, metrics for measuring achievements of goals and reporting timeline. The report should include the feasibility of strategies, including but not limited to weighted scoring on a tiered procurement approach that prioritizes businesses located in the city. As I alluded to, on that date, LA 28 submitted their proposed impact and sustainability plan. In that plan, it identified a local business commitment of 75% and a small business utilization of 25%. The plan identified local as Los Angeles, Orange, Riverside, San Bernardino, and Ventura counties. The plan did not speak to certifications. In my research, and it's crude at best, I identified 41 venue or event locations. I would argue 44% of the 41 are in the city of Los Angeles. Of the number of events that will be taking place between both the Games and the Paralympic Games, 41 of them are in the city of Los Angeles, which is roughly 51%. I've met with, and BCA has met with LA 28, specifically Eric Aldridge and Isabel Guzman, had a great meeting with respect to clarifying and understanding what it is that LA 28 wants to commit to. And we talked about local business and what we thought would be a good approach to accomplishing what we believe council has expressed in the various motions. So to cut to the chase, we identified, and this is for discussion, to bring before you to make sure we're going in the right direction, 3.5, what I'm going to refer to as priority levels. And when I say 3.5, I'll explain to you that. Priority being outreaching first, and then second, and then third. First priority is the city of Los Angeles. So with all procurement opportunities, my discussions with LA 28 and my recommendation is that the first priority will be City of Los Angeles businesses. City of Los Angeles businesses certified, not someone who claims to be local, not someone who just shows up the day before the Olympics, but someone who is certified. The Bureau of Contract Administration is your agent for certifying businesses, and we are in the process of establishing reciprocity agreements with the County of Los Angeles and other venue cities so that we can expand the net, if you will, to certify as many local businesses as we can. A side note, commercial break, in the conversation with LA 28, we provided with them, or provided to them, our definition of a local business as embodied in our ordinance, our local business enterprise ordinance, for them to take a look at. And the hopes is that LA 28, because they recognize they're going to be processing a number of businesses, some of which may not initially be certified, but the commitment is that they recognize you're very serious, we're very serious about whoever is presented as being local, they are indeed local, verified, legitimate, local business. I gave them our ordinance, they're going to take a look at it, and if they are in agreement with it, there's a good, strong possibility that LA 28 themselves can also become an agent that we have reciprocity with. So whoever they're using to vet businesses, as we are processing many, I don't want to speak for them, but there is conversation between the two of us that they'll use our approach to identifying who's local, not just someone who claims to be local but is local. So that's priority one. Priority 1A. Priority 1A would be businesses that are inside of a footprint. That footprint has not been decided yet. And when I say footprint, we've used in our workforce development outreach efforts, especially with our PLA, Project Labor Agreement for Triple H, a radius from the point of an event. We haven't determined what that might be yet, but that is something to consider because there's certain sectors of work, let's say food and beverage, that time is a concern, so there is a desire to make sure that that's not compromised with respect to service delivery. So again, City of LA first. However, in those cases where there may be a venue that they need something and they don't want to deal with distance, 1A would be that business that's within that footprint. 2 would be Los Angeles County, any business inside of the County of Los Angeles. So priority 1, the City of LA, priority 2, the County of LA, and then priority 3 would be any other counties, for lack of a better way of saying it, that LA 28 identified. Now, I will say this. The City of LA, Bureau of Contract Administration, we do not certify businesses that are in Orange, Riverside, Ventura, San Bernardino County. So that's a conversation we would have to have with respect to legitimacy of who those might be. But in our discussion, and again, I don't want to speak for LA 28, but I felt I captured it well. There was a strong commitment to City of Los Angeles businesses. So much so that, and I asked the question, what happens if you reach out to City of LA business and they don't quite have what is needed? Our initial discussions centered around what can we do to get them ready. In other words, I'm going to want to know that this was not just a pass-through we looked at and then we moved on to LA County or we moved on to Ventura, San Bernardino, Riverside. What does looking at look like? And that's something that we are still discussing. Ultimately, I'm imagining you're going to want a report from me that lays all of this out, so you will have this. And that's the goal, to give you something, but today it's more to provide you a verbal update with respect to the path that we're taking, the direction that we're going. So if we're not going in the right direction, I'd rather know that now than to find that out later. So the definition of local will be as we have identified in our local business ordinance. With respect to small and micro, small is the SBA size standard, and that can be pretty large. I don't want to go into details now. That will be in our report. But micro is also mentioned in the report that came from LA 28. I've heard on several occasions a commitment to utilizing micro businesses when and where possible. So at first, you know my position on this. I'm the man who wanted 70, 60, 50. I wanted a much larger commitment to small businesses. However, I do see the benefit here of having this 50% range. And when I say 50% range, let me be clear. 75% local business. The procurement spend to be identified, not yet. 75% of it will be for local businesses, of which we're prioritizing city businesses. 25% will be small businesses inside of that 75%. So there's a 50% gap there, which provides a great opportunity for micro businesses. LA 28 is not hiding from that. They're not running away from that. They're committed to that. Now it's up to us to develop, identify, and build those businesses to be able to participate and take advantage of this. And so I'm sitting here at the table as, I guess, the city's representative telling you, I'm hearing there is a desire to do that. If I weren't hearing that, I'd definitely be telling you that. So that is the plan and approach that we are taking for the local business piece. I want to go to number 4 real quick, and then I'll come back for any questions that you might have of me. Number 4 was to instruct the BCA and Economic Workforce Development Department to develop a work plan to conduct outreach workshops and to assist local vendors with applying to procurement opportunities on RAMP. In addition to request both departments to work with LA 28 to fund community contracts for the work source and business source centers to case manage business enrollment into the RAMP system for LA 28 procurement process participation. On the 14th of this month, we had our first of 4 sessions, the Small Business Academy. And Council President, you spoke at the opening, and we appreciate that. We sent out applications to over 1,100 businesses. We had 133 applications that we received. We accepted 121. And the largest night of attendance, we had 62 businesses. The rule was, in order for you to be certified as having completed this, you needed to attend all 4 nights. We had 2 nights the first week and 2 nights the second week. We had 46 individuals representing 44 businesses that attended all 4. The makeup, marketing and promotions, events and entertainment, construction, food and beverage, security, transportation. We had a nice blend of businesses. LA 28 did participate. They were there the first night and they were there the last night. It is our goal with these graduates to take them to the next step, which I've had conversations with LA 28 over with respect to mining and drilling down as to the expectations. What do you need to and want to see from these businesses? LA 28 may speak to it today that they're having, I believe next week or week after next, a deep dive for one particular area called food and beverage, because it's a broad category that has a lot of micro avenues associated with it. So I say all that to say we've started on item 4. I've had conversations with Economic Workforce Development Department. We're discussing the utilization of business source centers. We know that PACE is one of the business source centers that's quite active in this effort. I've had discussions with them as well. So number 4 is moving also, and I look forward to reporting more to you on our success and achievements in that area. That's my report for right now, and I open up for any questions.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Weaver, for that report. Questions? Councilmember Rodriguez.
Thank you, John. You know, you and I have been locked together on procurement conversations, I would say, for the better part of, oh gosh, over a decade now. Time flies when you're having fun. So how are you going to have, so currently, you've always been a small but mighty department, doing a lot with very little. Given the scope and the scale of the work that needs to happen going forward, you're a critical part of actually the accountability piece. Everyone can have stated goals, which, by the way, I still have a problem with the 75% of 25% of 10% of this. I want hard numbers, and I've also pressed on LA 28 about that as well. When we talk about 75% local business, what does that mean in terms of dollars, in terms of the percentage spend that is going to be dedicated? And that's not for you to necessarily answer. That's going to be an answer for LA 28. But I really want to associate that with real hard numbers, with a target goal. Because if we're talking about local business, I want to know that that local business is about, you know, $100 million value or a $500 million value, not 75% of the micro businesses that might equate to something like $1 million, right? So I think it's really important that when you saddle this or associate what that number is, that we actually associate it with a dollar amount as well, that it's not just strictly this kind of, you know, very fluid definition of 75% local. So I'm going to ask you for a little bit deeper dive from BCA's perspective, given all the history and work that you have, about the procurement opportunities that they're going to be availing, that we're looking at 75% from each of the target areas that is going to be local. That, you know, what that looks like and how do we associate a dollar amount with that and have aspirational goals of how we get there. So I'd like for you to help dig that out a little bit more.
No, and I appreciate that, Council Member. In our budget, the mayor has prioritized this with respect to procurement and economic opportunities. The Bureau has submitted a package where we're asking for resources, 2 positions to be specific. As you alluded to, there's a difference between 75% of number of contracts and 75% of the dollars spent. And historically, the city has always looked at 75% of the money spent, not 75% of the opportunities available. Not just from a procurement standpoint, but also from a workforce development standpoint. We don't want to know how many people you hired. We want to know how many hours they work, because hours they work speaks to money going into the home.
If you hired 5 people and they work 1 hour.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm with you on that. As I was sharing with LA 28, in previous areas that this council has empowered the Bureau to take responsibility for monitoring. An example I will use would be the USC University Village, where we worked with USC. We agreed upon a monitoring mechanism, a reporting format that they would provide us, and we would meet with them on a regular basis to make sure that we were going in the direction we needed to go and we were hitting what we needed to hit. So that will be part of this report, so that you will know that this is happening on a regular basis. It's not that we're just going to agree upon something and we'll wait till the games are over to see whether or not we hit it, but we're going to be monitoring this on a regular basis. The Bureau put together a roadmap to achieving success, and in this roadmap, we speak to a monitoring process. We haven't had that conversation in detail with LA 28, but we will. But I don't think LA 28, and again, I don't want to speak for them, will want to or will have a problem with monitoring, because we're talking about the games. And the games is all about measuring.
Right.
And so we measure times and we measure output and we measure effects, so we want to measure what we manage. And so
Well, I don't want us to measure and fall short. And so our best way of shoring up that success is not just obviously in the certifications, and you talk about, I know that you've done the certifications. Is SCMSIDC still doing?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes, and that's one of the things that we're doing. We're trying to expand our pool of entities that we have reciprocity with. So
that are doing the
we have
certifications.
many people certifying to identify as many businesses as we can. We're making no promises to any business at all because we
Right.
recognize not everybody will make it to the finals. We understand that.
Right.
But in conjunction with and in discussions with Eric and Isabel, one of the things that came up was what could we do to take many of our micro businesses and start partnering them now with macro primes to start working now, because the Olympics will come and the Olympics will go.
Right.
But we want this procurement opportunity to be something that is long-lasting.
So, and that's not, so I just want to help educate members of the public and perhaps members that aren't familiar with it. In terms of your role, you're the compliance piece. You're about making, you're the verification,
Yes.
okay? But the entity that helps to nurture and prepare those businesses to be able to compete for these contracts is which department?
If you're talking about the department that is responsible for the business source center, that would be the Economic Workforce Development.
Correct. And so my concern right now, given the shuffle of the forced recalibration, attempted forced recalibration of economic workforce development, I'm concerned about that jeopardizing the efficacy of assuring that small businesses are actually going to be nurtured to compete. And so my question is, with respect to, well, actually, let me back up. You said that the mayor's made it a priority to focus on your work in terms of the nature of the procurement efforts associated with LA 28. So are you telling me you didn't receive a 5% budget reduction letter?
No, I'm not telling you that.
Okay, so then you still have, so, listen, I can say you know, I'm committed to this as well, but, you know, actions speak louder than words, so if you're still getting a budget reduction exercise notice, then the reality of what that actually materializes in could very well be in jeopardy, or if not fully committed, because if you're still, you can say you're committed, but if you're also telling, if I'm saying I'm committed to supporting you with one hand and then still saying, okay, but you got to reduce your budget by 5%, you're telling me two different things. You're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. So I'm concerned about what that legitimately looks like, particularly when we want to have accountability with ensuring the procurement success of small businesses in Los Angeles, in the city of Los Angeles, and you know, to be clear to everybody in this room and anybody that's listening, if the city of Los Angeles is going to be the first financial backstop for any shortfalls of the budget that LA 28 perhaps overspends, then LA city businesses should be the first to be procured and contracted as part of these games, full stop. And so I have a very big concern with the fact that local has thus far been defined with a much wider net. Those initial numbers that you shared of roughly 40 businesses, we're a city of 4 million people. That doesn't lead a lot of optimism about how we're preparing everybody to successfully pursue procurement opportunities in the city, because as you and I both know, in order to successfully navigate the procurement process, forget LA 28, even just here in the city of Los Angeles, you have to nurture businesses with making sure they have the bonding, the insurance, all of the experiences to assure that they can successfully compete. And if we are stripping away some of the resources and tools that are being availed to them with the technical expertise associated with the work at EWDD, I'm really concerned about what that actually looks like in terms of real meaningful, because words they're just empty words, they ring hollow. But if we show up with the actual support and resources more intentionally for these small businesses to compete, I'm actually, you know, genuinely concerned. This is just a lot of lip service without working intentionally to ensure that small businesses are actually prepared to pursue those procurement opportunities. Because as you and I both know, it's quite a mess to navigate a contractual opportunity with procurement. We did the Small Business Academy just in Public Works, and we know how we had a handhold a number of small businesses to navigate that. So I worry about our ability, well, certainly that wouldn't be your role to handhold. Your role is to say, this is what we verified in terms of what the outcomes were with procurement process. And that's cool. That's an important part, because without accountability, you make commitments that never get fulfilled. You're the one, and you and your team are the ones that actually show the proof whether or not we achieve those goals. But the most important part of this, and who should also be here at this table, is economic workforce development, to talk about how they're actually nurturing and hand-holding those small businesses to be ready to pursue those procurement opportunities. That's critically important. And Ms. Padilla and I introduced a motion or an amendment on that last go-around.
Yeah, I'd like to speak to that.
For that specific reason, because I think it's critically important that we have that functional part of the city family working in conjunction with LA 28 to support our LA City businesses. So I think that's I think that's really important. So I want to make sure that you're set up for success on the role that you have, and I'm concerned about what the budget conversation is going to look like, because again, that's you're being supported out of both sides. It's like they're given with one and taken away with the other. So I think that's a real threat. But more importantly, I just wanted to really underscore that it's, I believe, really important, not just in the certification process, but in the actual hand-holding and actual dollar amounts being delineated for the work that you're doing is equally important, so that we can actually have real measurable goals. Because 75% is 100% of it, that's nothing. That's all, And I know that's not with your intention, but that's just unfortunately how things like to roll off the tongue. And so I just want to make sure that we actually put measurable outcomes with dollar amounts, because at the end of the day, LA City businesses that are successful in navigating procurement opportunities as part of LA 28 means that the taxpayers of Los Angeles will see some value and benefit of those games coming here directly. And I think that's critically important, and that is something that we all have to be tuned in on.
All right, thank you, Councilmember. Just checking on this side. All right, Mr. Soto Martinez, and then Councilmember Padilla. All right.
Great, thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. President. Thank you so much, Mr. Reamer, for being here. It's always good to have you here. I have a few questions regarding the sort of the 3.5 levels of priority. So let me zoom out a little bit. So I think in our previous discussions with LA 28, they were looking at 75% of total spend locally. And I know that it wasn't an exact number because they don't have a full budget yet, and so, or a full number amount. So have there been any conversations about how that looks for the 3.5 level priorities at all?
The initial discussion is we empty the city of LA first.
But number, like percentage-wise, numbers, amount, nothing,
No
conversations.
So I apologize, council member. The 75% of whatever that might be. So that I don't know. I have no idea what the amount will be. I just know what the percentage is. 75% commitment. And historically, what we've done is we've said, you start at the one, excuse me, priority one, and you don't leave priority one until you can't fill a need. So we can fill every need, then we never leave City of LA. 75% of all the businesses will be City of LA businesses, if we have that. If we don't have that, and my team will be looking and working with LA 28 to make sure that indeed is the case, then we go to priority two. So it's not a case of we're going to split the 75% amongst priority one,
Right.
2, and 3. It's we exhaust priority one first.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Then we go to priority 2. Then we go to priority 3. We may never get to priority 3. We may never get to priority 2. My goal is to, respectfully, make sure we don't get to priority 2, that we develop and we build a big enough pool of businesses from the city of LA that we're able to accomplish every procurement need that's there.
That sounds pretty good to me. Okay, and then should we get to priority two? I know that's not your goal. You said it was inside a footprint. When you describe that, it makes me think of, you alluded to this sort of a local hiring. It's like this a certain radius. I assume you're, and in some situation, has there been sort of an analysis of where that helps the city of LA and where it hurts? Because I'll give you an example. Like if this was an event in SoFi, it's surrounded by, even though it's in Inglewood, a lot of it is in the city of Los Angeles, right? Like if that radius were to touch the city of LA, that's good. Long Beach, it's a little more difficult because I don't think it would reach as far as San Pedro. Maybe it would, depending on the radius. But of the 40-something locations, have we gone a little more in depth and see like what the effects of that would be, of that radius? I know we might not even have a radius yet. Do you even have a radius?
I had one, but I pulled it back. And the reason I did is because I wanted to hear from LA 28 first. And I'm imagining that there is going to be a moratorium perimeter established where mobility is going to be restricted with respect to, let's say, vehicular traffic. There's going to be a zone, I'm imagining, that's going to be set up. And the thought behind a impact zone radius was based on the impact, to abuse that word, this zone might have on a business that no longer is going to be able to benefit from vehicular traffic. So in other words, how can we help mitigate the impact of this business that's going to be impacted, what that zone looks like? That's the reason why we came up with the radius-based and workforce development. We wanted individuals who were going to be impacted by the construction to be able to work on the project. That hasn't been identified yet from LA 28 with respect to this perimeter zone, so that's why I pulled back the radius. If you just want to know the number that we use for Triple H, the HHH PLA was 5 miles. Okay. 5 miles is huge. Yeah, that's a big footprint. And to answer your question, no, I don't have what impact could happen, or what impact might be, based on restricting certain types of traffic in a zone. I don't have that yet because I don't know what it is. So that's a conversation we're still having. But that is secondary to the city of LA. So, and it would only be an issue if it's a type of work that needs immediate response, that can't afford the time that comes with travel. So it may not be something that is used at all. In having a conversation, and again, I don't want to speak for LA 28, but I glean from that discussion, the commitment is to City of LA businesses.
Gotcha.
No matter what.
Okay.
But in those cases where we have to, we want to have some latitude. And I think that's fair.
That's good to hear. I mean, I like that you brought in a sort of another way to have a positive influence on the city of LA. Obviously, Tier 1 is the city of LA, and then you created Tier 1A, which is footprint. I understand we need to figure out the radius, and then we can understand the impacts. But that's good that you found another way to try to benefit the city, right? Instead of immediately going to the LA County. I thought that was creative on your end. And then you mentioned a little bit about small and micro, because right now the 75% local, it sounds like there's a lot of thought put through it with the 3.5 priority levels. The 25% small doesn't sound as fleshed out. Could you just describe maybe some ideas that you've presented or ways to see you smiling? So I appreciate. I'm going to enjoy the answer to this.
I mean, small using SBA size standards is it's just huge. It's flat out huge. I mean, for construction, we're talking $45 million. For a specialty contractor, $19 million annual gross receipts. For transportation, for limousine, $19 million gross receipts. I mean, that's just flat out large.
Sorry, Mr. Reamer, can I interrupt you? Because just so I understand, so I want to sort of level set. My understanding was that LA 20, and I'll ask this again just to confirm, but LA 28 was looking at definition of small, not based on the number of employees, but rather in comparison to the industry that they're in And so that's why you're citing these really inflated numbers that, because the industry, like the limousine industry is rather large, $19 million gross receipts is considered small within the limousine industry. But for us, 19 million is quite a large amount.
So when you use the term small, the issue on the table will always be defining small. Anybody can walk into a room and claim they're a small business. So we're once again back to, are you going to legitimize this by certifying? And if you're going to do this based on who's certified based on what standard? If we use the SBA size standard, that is a very large size standard. If we use the City of Los Angeles size standard, which we have reciprocity with the state of California, when it comes to micro businesses, that's a little smaller, a lot smaller. It's $6 million annual gross receipts over 3 years, averaged. So that's going to be a smaller business, 25 employees or less, a lot smaller. But the SBA size standard is the size standard, to my understanding, that's being used when that 25% small was presented to council. I get that. There are going to be areas where it's certainly appropriate and will be needed. I totally understand that. That's 25%. That's why I did get excited after I thought about this, that 50% that's still inside of that 75% local is a great opportunity for those micro businesses. And it doesn't mean that inside of the 25%, they will not, LA 28 cannot use a micro, but it allows to use all the way up to the size standard that the SBA has. So if we want to be able to ensure opportunities for those micro businesses, it could come in the 25, but it can also be part of that 75. And that's the goal. That's what we are working toward. Even in their proposal to you, they make a statement regarding that their commitment is to try to do that. I believe it's up to us to find those businesses, to prepare those businesses, to get those businesses ready. And that's why we started the boot camp as early as we did. And we will have more of them because we want to eliminate the excuse of we can't find anyone. Not that LA 28 is looking for an excuse, but the fact of the matter is they're trying to deliver games. I understand that. They're not going to ask the athletes to come. The athletes are going to come prepared to participate and compete. We want to do the same thing for our businesses. Identify them, allow them to come, prepared to participate and compete.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Rimmer.
Thank you, Councilmember Padilla.
Well, right before I start, I just kind of want to emphasize that I would like for this item to be continued because there was nothing on the council file related to the motion that I made last time we met, which was that I wanted a work plan. My motion was that I wanted a work plan that showed us how we were going to accomplish this. So I would like to continue it because I don't think it was fulfilled yet.
So, Councilmember, this is just a verbal update from him. This is not your motion.
I appreciate it, but I just want to emphasize that I would like to continue it and continue to talk about it. But in terms of what I'm hearing so far, I do have some major concerns. As they said, as it was brought up, the Olympics are going to come and the Olympics are going to go. And there's going to be people, our audiences, our stakeholders that are going to observe who really tried to make sure Los Angeles benefited from this, or who was just kind of walking and continuously talking in the clouds as opposed to really getting to the nitty-gritty of making sure that things are happening. So what I wanted to bring up is it's a new thing to hear that in addition to having to potentially just have the ability to know and understand and navigate how to get on ramp. Now there's this other thing that I'm hearing about how you have to be a certified Los Angeles business. But did I hear you right that the city of Los Angeles doesn't do that, that's actually a task done by the county?
No. The county also certifies businesses.
But do we?
We do. We certify.
Out of your department?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, so then my question is, what is the update on you working with EWDD on a work plan and the ability to identify community contracts for our workforce development partners to really help businesses get onto ramp become certified and everything related to being able to fall into the category, whether it's the 75, the 25, given radiuses. I mean, who's gonna do that footwork? And we know that in this city, to do that kind of footwork, you really need community partners. So I wanna know what the status is and when could we see that report and know whether or not we were able to identify some funding for community contracts.
No, excellent question and noteworthy concern. The Bureau of Contract Administration, we sent out a call to action memo to at least 1,100. More than
11 what?
that. 1,100 businesses, at least 1,100. And we recognize that this is going to be fluid, that we will need to continue to send out as many notices as we can. We've partnered with chambers of commerce. We've attempted to reach out to all of the council offices, and we will continue to reach out to all the council offices because we recognize the council offices have businesses that want to know about opportunities. We also understand that I'm going to be as real as I can. LA 28 is not going to necessarily have a place for someone who has never had a contract. And so we all know that the people who make it to the finals and all the events for the Olympics are going to be those that have been training for a while. They're well prepared to engage in a world-class level to participate. We want our businesses to get to that place as well. That's why we started as early as we could to send out information. In the course of sending out this call to action, we included a questionnaire asking every business, are you registered on RAMP? Are you certified? And we've given the list of areas where they could be certified so that we could get as much information as we could from every business to establish a portfolio for them so that we can have something to present to LA 28 when the procurement opportunities happen. We will continue to do this, and we will continue to work with every single council office. Of the 1,100, we received 133 responses. It doesn't mean that we fold up shop and go home. It just means that, look, some may have not received it. We totally understand that. Communication is very important. We want this message to go out as often as we can, to as many as we can, to have as many partners as we can, because I believe many hands make light work. We want everyone that we can be involved. That's why the Bureau of Contract Administration also reached out to venue cities, in addition to LA County, those who do certify businesses, especially local businesses. Can we agree on what the criteria will be for determining, are you local? Are you legitimately local? And in doing that, and we agree upon that, now you can go to the county, you can go to the city of LA and get certified. And the county will acknowledge our certification, and we will acknowledge the county certification because we're using the same criteria, and we're very close. We're almost there.
But that leads me to my next question, and this is why I wanted a work plan, because I appreciate you articulating what you've done. It almost sounds like pre-work before the... My understanding is that our goal is to get as many people involved. But what I'm hearing so far is that we're doing the work to try to figure out, are you certified? Are you on RAMP? Therefore, you can get an Olympics opportunity. What I'm trying to do is figure out how we use this opportunity to get folks that have, because if you're sending out a survey and the survey says, are you certified? Yes or no, and the answer is, if someone's answer internally is no, does that do they themselves then say, well, then I guess I'm never going to have an opportunity with the Olympics?
Oh, absolutely.
And that's why it's important for me to see that we're telling folks, maybe you've never done anything related to considering applying for some kind of government contract, but we're using this opportunity to figure out how to motivate you to become involved. And that's very different. So if, it's great that 1,100 businesses had a call to action. I'm sure people that are involved with their local chamber of commerce, know how to ask the appropriate questions. But when I think of community contracts, I think about the person that, is going to an organization like Icon CDC or is going to El Proyecto del Barrio and, for the first time ever, they got themselves business-based insurance. Because for many years, they probably didn't even know that they needed it, right? But they've been able to make money without it. So I really want to see a work plan where it's articulated that you're focusing on those that probably don't know that the opportunity is there. That's great. But what's the plan for those that have never been traditionally involved? How we're gonna try to get them onto ramp? Because even after the Olympics, if we get these businesses onto ramp, they can continue to get opportunities even post the Olympics. So I think we're just kind of missing the point that the Olympics is an opportunity to get this started, but it should be an opportunity that helps us help our local businesses in the long term for getting involved with government contracts. So I would like us to continue this, and the next time we meet, I want to know what we are trying to do to identify some funding for community contracts that I was really passionate about the last time I introduced it together with Ms. Rodriguez as well as Mr. Blumenfield, because we know that those centers are the centers that help elevate the non-traditional stakeholders that can benefit from this. So, and we
Ms.
need you to be honest.
And Ms.
You know,
Padilla.
I know you mentioned, Ms. Rodriguez mentioned that, you know, there's a big chance that people are going to have to once again think outside the box for budget reductions. But this is the kind of thing that will bring in investment in the long term if you invest in those hustlers within our city. So it's more of a statement. Because based on this report, I feel like there's still more we need to know.
And that's why John's role, so that's why I was bringing it up. The certification piece is just one piece. It's just the small businesses saying, I'm here in the city of LA, this is who I am as a business. So he's got the certification piece. But that's why I was raising the issue about EWDD, because he's not the one that's going to help support those, nurture those businesses to
Well,
be
then
able
where's
to...
EWDD? My motion
Well, they-
included the
Wait,
name
wait,
of
wait,
both
wait, wait,
departments. Can we get
hold
EWDD
on,
here next time?
Hold on, council member. This is a verbal report from John Reamer. This is not your motion, okay? So we're going to hear your motion again, and the questions you're asking will get answered, and the appropriate people to answer those questions will be here. Your motion was giving
That's
direction.
fine.
Your
That's
motion
fine.
was
I get
giving
it. I
direction to
understand how procedure
EWDD.
works. But what I do
This is
want to
Reamer.
know is, we are 1,000 days away, maybe less, because 1,000 was what, last week? If we don't have a conversation about this sooner than later, we keep having these Olympic committees right before council. We're forced to do this in a rushed way. This is a huge thing coming to our city, and we're just gonna wait another 2 months until we finally talk about really getting down to the nitty-gritty about helping our local businesses be part of the Olympics. That's why I wanna emphasize that I would like to know, and hopefully we have not just procurement here, your office here, Mr. Weaver, but also EWDD to find out what is the plan.
Duly noted.
Thank you.
Duly noted. Thank you, Mr. Reamer. We got to move.
Okay.
Because we got to hear from LA 28.
Yes.
But one, thank you for your report. What your role is, just so we're clear, because I think Councilmember Rodriguez and Councilmember Padilla raised a very important point, which is different than what you were doing, and I think Councilmember Rodriguez spelled it out. You are trying to help us set the terms of our agreement with LA 28. There is another piece of work that's separate from that, that is making sure we maximize this opportunity as much as possible, with a special focus, which Ms. Padilla is bringing up, with a special focus on the businesses that are not already at the front of the line. I mean, that's, your analogy about athletes is a good one, except that in the case of the Olympics, we want people who haven't necessarily been running track for all of their life to be able to participate. And we think that there's a possibility for that, and we want to put the things in place to do that. But that's a separate job than the one you have. So we will receive your report. If there's no final comments, I want to get LA 28 up as quickly as we can. Mr. Reamer?
Yeah, I'm glad to move from the table. I would just close by saying I'm part of the second piece as well, and I appreciate the passion, Council Member. The Small Business Academy that we had 4 nights, it was very intense and in-depth, and I agree. We want the business that has not started to be able to do this, so we're not rejecting anyone. And for all who are listening to me, please notify the Bureau of Contract Administration if you are a business or those who are partnering with businesses because we will be doing this again. We're going to educate as many businesses as we can and get them ready. BCA, is involved in not just certifying, but also in getting them ready to do this work. And we are committed to that. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Clerk, if we can move to item number 2, which is a verbal update from LA 28. If you can read that into the record, and we'll ask the representative of LA 28 to come to the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Item number 2 is a verbal update from LA 28 representatives relative to LA 28.
You're on.
Oh, okay. I was trying to eat up a little more time. Council Chair, it's really great to be back here, and members of the committee. Councilmember Padilla, it's actually 989 days till the Olympics. It's also 100 days out until the Milan Cortina Winter Games. So it is all happening very quickly. And I think your point, Council Member, is that time is of the essence, and we really need to get on with what we're doing. And I appreciate the partnership of the city and you, especially Council Chair and Council President, on where we're going with our planning and our delivery. Since the last time we met, a number of things have happened. Let me just start by saying that from a financial perspective, we continue to feel very optimistic about our path forward with, just as I said, 989 days to go. As you know, our corporate sponsorships provide essential financial resources for both Team USA and LA 28 Olympic and Paralympic Games. We've signed more partnerships this year than we announced in all of 2024, allowing us to remain on track to reach our goals. Since we last appeared before this committee, LA 28 has welcomed several new commercial partners, including Google has joined us as a founding partner for technology solutions across athlete and fan experience. Starbucks has signed as an official coffee partner. Sunbelt is an official rental equipment and solutions provider. And Highland Electric Fleets was selected as the official electric school bus provider to support transportation operations. I was thrilled to be with Mayor Bass as we did a press conference at the Memorial Coliseum with the Highland Fleet CEO. Just last month, our team was excited to announce our ticketing and hospitality packages for the games, LA 28's first announcement for ticketing to date. Registration for the Olympic game tickets will begin in January of 26 on our website at la28.org. Tickets will be managed by our LA 28's official ticketing service partner, Axis and Eventum, with hospitality experience and packages offered by On Location, the official exclusive hospitality provider for the Olympics and the Paralympic Games. We're proud to announce that single tickets will start at only $28, and we'll have early access tickets for locals who live around the games venue, as well as LA City residents. During the last committee meeting, we also had a robust conversation about our impact and sustainability plan, and I'm proud that we have begun important work in that implementation. LA 28 is and will continue to be committed in helping small and local businesses access contracts for the Olympics and the Paralympic Games, and we're excited to continue that work with LA's vibrant network of support organizations to achieve the goal. We're developing a procurement plan, as I think we've all talked about in the past, that will be shared in early 26. This plan will detail the industries and types of contracts we'll procure, along with the anticipated timelines for those opportunities. It will serve as a clear roadmap on how local, small, and diverse businesses can engage with us as we prepare for the Games. We're also well-positioned to host an exceptional Games here in Los Angeles, and I'm eager to take your questions.
All right, that was efficient. Questions, members? Councilmember Padilla.
I guess it's not a question, more of a, just kind of a thing for you guys to keep in mind. When you say Google's going to be a partner, I'm assuming that they're also going to play the role of helping people navigate where things are taking place.
Yes.
Which is great. I think Google is more global versus Apple Maps, even though I prefer Apple Maps myself. but Google is definitely more global. So I just wanted to put it on your radar that as we speak, putting on my Metro board member hat, they are currently solidifying all of their apps because they have a different one for rail and busing and then all sorts of things. I just wanted to put it on your radar that if you could please work with Metro to make sure that they know that Google is going to be your partner for that, to make sure that everything matches.
Yeah, we'll show Drew that. And I actually had lunch with Stephanie Wiggins yesterday. We actually meet on a regular basis, in addition to our teams and the work that they're doing. But with Google, I think they're going to be very involved in kind of that user interface and what you see on the app that will include maps and places to go and how to get around and all kinds of user experience pieces. So, yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all I wanted to say for this one.
Thank you. I second Councilmember Padilla on Apple Maps. Although Apple and Google are both great California companies. Councilmember Rodriguez.
Thank you. Thank you. So when you talk about you're on track to reaching your goals, what does that actually mean in terms of what's your shortfall in meeting financially everything that will ensure that the city is protected from being that financial backstop?
No, I appreciate that, and thank you for the question. I think, so right now, we're at about $1.7 billion in sponsorship revenue that's contracted. We'll hit $2 billion by December. We've raised more money than Paris did in the entire time. So we are well on our track to hit our 2.5, I think is our budget number, in sponsorship revenue, and we are well on track to get that. And we just signed another deal yesterday, and there's, I think, 3 or 4 more in contract that we will announce in the coming weeks.
Okay. And then are there any concerns for the validity of the threats made by the president associated with his pulling the games and whether or not there's actual authority for him to do that given the contract that we have with the IOC?
I will just say, as we've talked about this before, but the president and the administration has been very supportive of the games in LA, and and I think they recognize, and I've said before to members of Congress, there is no other city in the United States that could host the games than LA at the size and the scope of the magnitude of the undertaking, because of the iconic venues and because of the no-build games and because it's 15,000 athletes coming and nearly 15 million people coming to visit and be a part of the games. There's no place else you can go. The president wants these games to succeed. I think that's evidenced in the $1 billion in security funding that was put into the bill, and we're working with FEMA. I've had conversations directly with FEMA leadership on that money, and Council President and I have talked about it as well, is how that money will flow to help you all with security planning. And so I feel very confident, the games will be in LA and the federal government will support the safety and security of the games.
And how is the conversation going with respect to the visas and permissions for athletes coming to the country?
So Casey Wasserman and I have both talked with Secretary Rubio on a number of occasions about that. We have a whole team dedicated to just visa processing. At the State Department's request, we have developed and will launch at the end of this year a program called Visa Link, which is we're automating an electronic process to assist people that need visas associated with the games, because it's not just the athletes. People will be starting to come and have come already to work either with us directly at LA 28 or will be part of, say, building the International Broadcast Center and other media people that will be coming in to help with games delivery that will be coming in from overseas and will require visas. And we feel really confident that we're in a good spot.
Okay. And then, you heard the preceding conversations, and you and I have discussed it in terms of procurement and making sure that small businesses are able to navigate. I think, again, it underscores the need, and I know Isabel's working hard and meeting with everybody, but I really want us to be very honest about how we nurture the small businesses. And as you and I have discussed, Paris, I thought, did a phenomenal job, but we are 32 months out. and nurturing these businesses to be able to successfully compete, because I don't want, I keep hearing from leadership making very broad commitments about how they want small businesses to do it. You know, actually seeing that materialize requires a lot of hand-holding and support to make sure that they can successfully compete for these contracts and for procurement. So my question is, aside from this, no disrespect, but dog and pony show that's been offered to these small businesses to sign up for RAMP, in terms of what you're, like in-house procurement, I want to just reinforce, because, you know, voters in Los Angeles made it explicitly clear what they consider to be local businesses, and that means LA City proper businesses. And so that is the primary kind of target audience that we want to really see LA 28 pursue, namely because, and you know, again, I'm not talking about the what remains on deck for micro businesses and everything else, because that's going to reflect a very small percentage of the overall buying opportunity, if you will. I'm talking about the prime targets and other small business targets really being fulfilled here with businesses in Los Angeles, because as I said earlier with John at the table, when taxpayers in Los Angeles are the financial backstop for any shortfalls that come as a result of these games, it should be LA City businesses, not Long Beach, not anyone else in the county. The county isn't going to get tapped. Long Beach isn't going to get tapped. It's taxpayers in Los Angeles that will be stuck holding the bag with any other, you know, cutbacks to their services and other implications in service delivery. They're the ones that are going to bear the brunt of any failures to meet those targets. And that's why I want to continue to reinforce with you all, how are you going to help support those small businesses in concert with LA City to make sure that those businesses are actually ready to pursue procurement opportunities? What are you tangibly going to help do, and who are you actually working with in the city family to help fulfill that?
Yeah, and I think, as you and Councilmember Padilla pointed out, I mean, this is not about just getting people ready for the Olympics. It's about the long-term health and vibrancy of our economic community, right? Beyond the games, which is part of, I think, the overall legacy. And so we are really committed to working with the city to identify those small businesses that will be able to provide services that we will need for the games and help them do that. And I think an example is, you know, food and beverage was raised earlier. Next week we are hosting a workshop with small businesses so that we can start understanding what's out there in terms of who can provide us food and beverage support. And you and I have had a conversation about that. So I think it's that kind of partnership and the community outreach that we're doing, and Isabel Guzman has been a great help in trying to identify where are those places, because, you know, I think Mr. Reamer was right. We need to, just as athletes need to train for the Olympics, we need to train these small businesses. You know, we are committed to using RAMP, which is a, you know,
It's imperfect.
well, it's better that you say that.
I'll say it. I'll
Okay.
say it. Yeah, it's
but
not
I will say,
perfect.
you know, look, currently I think there's 7 opportunities on RAMP at the moment. But so we are using RAMP, but we have to prepare those businesses to do that, and we want to work with you to do that. Yeah.
And, you know, you and I had the conversation about, you know, doing additional outreach, you know, next year. But again, I just want to reinforce how critically important it is to make sure that we are not just availing the opportunities, but helping them navigate how to actually successfully compete for them.
I agree.
And that's the real critical component. And lastly, look, nothing ever goes perfect when it comes to planning for anything, whether it's a wedding, a birthday party, or the 2028 Olympics. You know, there's always challenges. So, are there concerns about venues being available for as they're currently laid out in terms of the venues? Are there concerns of any additional changes needing to be required for lack of accessibility or availability, given some of the most recent decisions, namely the convention center? What are your drop dead timelines in terms of needing contingency plans, or what are we going to do should that not be ready?
It's an important question, and I will just say, as we sit here today, I don't have any concerns that any of our venues will not be ready in time for the games. We are looking and watching closely, and it's not been, I think you all are aware, we're watching closely the convention center and the construction, and we feel confident the city is going to make its deadline so that we can get the convention center delivered to us on time.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Councilmember Soto Martinez.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. President. I was just very brief. Thank you for coming in here, Mr. Hoover, Mr. Harper. First, for the purposes of time, I really appreciated Mr. Reamer's report on how we're trying to move forward and really prioritize the city. And so I just want to say I look forward to hearing how the conversations conclude, and I'll speak for myself, but I think Mr. Reamer is one of the best employees we have in the city, and I think his recommendations are spot on. So I just want to express that I will be supportive of Mr. Reamer's sort of approach to this, but I look forward to hearing the conclusion of the conversations.
Mr. Blumenfield.
I'll be brief. I know time is short. Yes, appreciate all the comments of my colleagues. Appreciate the report. I did want to just follow up on Ms. Rodriguez's question about the federal government, and do we have, what I'm concerned about is while they're being cooperative now, at some point they're going to do what they've done with funding to universities and others, and they're going to create a condition that we cannot meet. They're going to, on a social issue, they're going to, on trans issues or on immigration issues or something like that, that they have a history of doing, and make our money contingent or our security contingent on such a policy. What protections do we have in place to protect us against that kind of last-minute extortion?
Yeah, Councilmember, I obviously can't speak for the federal government, but what I can tell you is that up to this point, no one in the federal government, no one in the White House, and no one at the department and agencies that we've met with has put a condition on any support for the games to us. I've spoken directly with FEMA, with FEMA leadership, on the money, the $1 billion, and there are no conditions attached to those dollars. Now, what the administration will do later, I wouldn't sit here and be able to say or predict what they would do. I will tell you the president is committed to these games, as evidenced by, again, the $1 billion that was put on the table, and I think there's more funding that is in the pipeline.
I'd just say that's great. Be prepared. I don't trust this president to not do that, and so just we don't need to vet a strategy here, but just please be vetting strategies about contingencies and ways that we can protect ourselves and ways that we can, in advance kind of cordon off some of those dollars, because they're certainly thinking about it. And then the other thing is, on since the budget is increasing, by several $100 million, are we also going to increase some of the benefits that the city gets in a related proportional fashion, like the money for youth sports? Does any of that, which is wonderful funding, get also sort of proportionally increased with the increase in budget, or is there a way to do that?
I think the short answer is no. 160 million was our commitment to Play LA, and that number, we're not changing. That number is a really important number because of the 60 million we've provided the city so far. We are really excited and happy about where the program has gone. In July, we celebrated the 1,000,000th enrollment in the program. The program, as you know, is oversubscribed, and we're really excited about it. And we look to the city then to figure out how best to continue the Play LA program, because we see it as an incredible, incredible success. The increase in our budget from previous year was then offset by some other increases in our revenue projections as well. So it really is, I think, a net zero. There's no additional funding that's in there. And John, I don't know if you want to.
Well, as we do, if things do look good on that front, I know it's being optimistic, but I would love to see us also figure out ways that we can share that with some of the positive benefits that we're putting in. Obviously, there's the overall thing, which is we want to make sure these Olympics are a positive economics, and I guess that's the North Star at the moment. Right. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Blumenfield. Thank you. Mr. Hoover, Mr. Harper. So we will move to receive your report. Mr. Clerk, can you confirm that we've concluded our business for today?
We do have one more item on the desk, Mr. Chair. We have the Joint Chief Legislative Analyst and City Administrative Officer report.
All right, we're going to have to continue that item to our next meeting.
Then the desk is clear,
as
Mr.
we're
Chair.
at 10:02. And with that, we're adjourned. Thank you so much.